Scrawny Steve Rogers wants to fight in World War II. Luckily, the government's Strategic Scientific Reserve, Agent Peggy Carter, and engineer Howard Stark inject super soldier serum into him to make him buff, and the government then casts Steve in a series of propaganda shows as Captain America. Well, eventually Steve joins the real fight against the Nazi division Hydra, but his friend Bucky dies in combat. Then he falls in love with Peggy. Then Hydra's Johann Schmidt / the Red Skull uses the alien Tesseract to make bombs to hit major cities. So Steve ambushes Schmidt's plane, defeats him, then flies the plane into the snow to sacrifice himself for the greater good. And we dig him out of the snow 70 years later and he's alive. After the war, Peggy goes from heroics to a Strategic Scientific Reserve secretary, though she likes SSR agent Daniel Sousa. But then Howard Stark is framed for selling bombs to bad people and she hops in to set things right. With the help of Stark's butler, Edwin Jarvis, Peggy clears Stark's name and discovers that a group called Leviathan, led by Johann Fenhoff, wants to use Stark technology to bomb cities as a revenge for the US's aggressions against Russia. But Peggy foils the plot and arrests Fenhoff. In Los Angeles, politician Calvin Chadwick's lover dies via a strange substance called Zero Matter. Good thing the SSR's Peggy Carter and Daniel Sousa, plus Jarvis and scientist Jason Wilkes, are on the job. Chadwick is a member of the Council of Nine, a group manipulating world events for profit. Also, Chadwick's wife, Whitney Frost, was the mind behind Zero Matter. Then an explosion exposes both Wilkes and Frost to the Zero Matter. Wilkes becomes intangible and Frost gets superpowers. Frost then takes over the council and wreaks havoc. Then Howard and Wilkes develop a machine to remove Frost's powers, and it works and saves everyone. Peggy then stays in LA to be with Sousa. Then some dude comes and steals incriminating files on Peggy. Howard Stark's dead, but his son Tony Stark's CEO of Stark Industries, but he gets kidnapped by terrorists and a grenade sends shrapnel into his chest. Luckily, Tony and fellow prisoner Yinsen put an arc reactor in his chest, then they build weaponized armor for Tony to escape, though Yinsen dies. At home, Tony shuts down the weapons department of his weapons company. Obadiah Stane, the company manager, is like WTF. Also, Tony falls for his assistant Pepper Potts. Tony then decides to make a nicer suit with his AI Jarvis. But wait, Stane wants to take over the company. Stane builds his own suit and he and Tony fight. The press then dubs Tony Iron Man. Hey, remember the SSR? Now they're S.H.I.E.L.D. Coulson works there, and director Nick Fury tells Tony he's rounding up superheroes. Tony's been superheroing as Iron Man, but wait, his arc reactor is poisoning him. Oh no. Then Ivan Vanko, Whiplash, shows up in his own weapon suit and attacks. Tony goes Iron Man and arrests Vanko. Fury and Agent Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, come and tell Tony that Howard Stark used to work with Ivan's father until Howard got mad and had him deported. Ouch. Tony then finds his dad's old blueprints for a new element, synthesizes it, puts it in his chest, and now he's not dying. Justin Hammer, Stark Enterprises' main competitor, breaks Ivan Vanko out of prison so he can make suits of armor for the government. Vanko makes the suits, but surprise, they're all rigged to kill Tony, so Tony and Rhodey, in his own War Machine suit, fight them all off, and Vanko dies. Remember the super soldier serum? General Ross, his daughter Betty Ross, and her boyfriend Dr. Bruce Banner are all working to recreate it. Then Bruce tests it on himself, and oops, Bruce becomes a giant monster, the Hulk, whenever he gets mad. So he becomes a fugitive. Ross finds Bruce and sends Marine Emil Blonsky and his team after him. But Bruce goes Hulk and evades them. Then Bruce reunites with Betty, but then Blonsky and Ross detain him. But then Blonsky, power hungry, demands to be injected with Bruce's blood. This transforms him into a giant beast, the Abomination. He and Hulk fight, Hulk wins, then Bruce flees. Then Tony tells Ross he's trying to assemble a team. Now we're in space. Odin, king of Asgard, names his son Thor the new king, making his brother Loki jealous. Then Thor accidentally starts a war with the Frost Giants, pissing off Odin. He deems Thor unworthy of his hammer and banishes him to Earth. There, Thor's taken in by Dr. Jane Foster and Dr. Eric Selvig, and Thor falls for Jane. Loki wants to be king, so he sends the Destroyer to go kill Thor. The Destroyer starts killing people, so Thor tries to sacrifice himself for them. This makes him worthy of the hammer again, and Thor uses it to defeat the Destroyer. Loki brings an assassin to kill Odin, but plans on gaining Odin's approval by saving him. Odin awakens, and when Loki sees he still does not favor him, he allows himself to fall into space. Selvig researches the Tesseract with Fury, Commander Maria Hill, Natasha, Coulson, and Clint Barton Hawkeye, when Loki hypnotizes Selvig and Clint and steals the Tesseract. So, Fury assembles the Avengers and brings Bruce, Tony, and Steve together. Then Steve, Tony, and Natasha capture Loki, but Thor crashes in to placate his brother. Loki and hypnotized Clint attack and Loki kills Coulson. Then Loki opens a portal and summons an army of aliens. The Avengers all fight the army. However, the World Security Council decides to send a nuke to New York, WTF, but Tony uses the missile to kill all the aliens. Thor returns Loki and the Tesseract to Asgard. Elsewhere, Thanos learns of Loki's failure, but has another plan. Tony has PTSD after New York and has a strained relationship with Pepper. Meanwhile, a terrorist called the Mandarin bombs the country, so Tony decides to act. Then the Mandarin bombs Tony's house. Tony discovers that the Mandarin's bombings actually come from the Extremist program, an experimental soldier treatment making people explode. Tony tracks down the Mandarin but is shocked to learn he's only an actor. The real Mandarin is Aldrich Killian, a scientist Tony humiliated in the past. Killian then subjects Pepper to extremists, but she survives. Then Killian kidnaps US President Ellis so he can control the country. Then Tony, Rhodey, and a fleet of Iron Man suits come in and save everyone. Dr. Jane Foster is infected by something called the Ether. Odin says it may kill her and explains that it is the powerful weapon of the Dark Elves, led by Malekith. Then Malekith storms Asgard to get the Ether from Jane and kills Thor's mother Frigga. Thor then breaks Loki out of prison for help. Malekith takes the Ether out of Jane, battles with Thor and Loki, and kills Loki. Thor mourns Loki's death, then he and Jane return to Earth. Malekith uses portals to try and infect all the 9 realms with the Ether, but Thor, Jane, and Selvig battle and eventually kill him. But unbeknownst to Thor, we see that Loki has faked his own death and is now ruling Asgard while disguised as Odin. Gasp. Fury learns S.H.I.E.L.D. has been compromised, but is immediately killed by the Winter Soldier. Gasp. Then S.H.I.E.L.D. labels Steve a fugitive, and he and Natasha discover, to their horror, that Hydra has secretly infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D., and their leader, Alexander Pierce, plans to kill hundreds via Project Insight. Gasp. So Natasha and Steve team with Sam Wilson, the Falcon, to fight the Winter Soldier. But this time Steve recognizes the attacker as his old friend Bucky Barnes. Oh, we learn that Hydra revived and brainwashed him. Then, surprise, Agent Maria Hill reveals that Fury is actually alive. With his help, Natasha kills Pierce, while Steve, Maria, and Sam destroy Project Insight. Agent Coulson's alive. How? Director Fury used the blood of an alien to resurrect him. Okay, before the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D., Coulson assembles a S.H.I.E.L.D. team. The team consists of Agents Ward, May, Fitz, Simmons, and Skye. Meanwhile, the Centipede Project, a devious group led by the mysterious Clairvoyant and Reyna, makes a new super soldier formula and tests it on Mike Peterson. Mike gets superhuman abilities and then is blackmailed into joining Centipede under the name Deathlock. Then S.H.I.E.L.D. falls to Hydra and everything goes crazy. Garrett is the Clairvoyant and is with Hydra. Gasp. And Ward is his secret agent. Gasp. But then Maria Hill, Fury, and the team successfully kill Garrett and arrest Ward. Then Fury names Coulson the new director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Peter Quill, Star-Lord, steals a magical orb for Yondu. Ronan also wants it. Ronan gets his boss Thanos to send his daughter Gamora after Peter. Gamora fights Peter while Rocket and Groot try to capture Peter for the bounty, and then they all get arrested. In prison, Drax tries to kill Gamora because Ronan killed Drax's family, but Gamora reveals that she's against Ronan, so she, Peter, Drax, Rocket, and Groot break out together to sell the orb, but then Ronan comes, attacks everything, and steals the orb. But then Ronan and Gamora's sister Nebula attack Xandar. Peter and company decide they have to stop this. In the ensuing battle, Groot shields his friends and dies, but then Peter and company grab the orb and use it to kill Ronan. Then a small Groot plant begins to regrow. Peter, Gamora, Drax, Rocket, and Baby Groot are hired to fight for the Sovereign's Aisha, but when Rocket robs them, Aisha sends her army against them. But then, Ego saves the Guardians. Ego reveals that he's Peter's father and a celestial god. Meanwhile, Yondu's crew mutiny and imprison him along with capturing Rocket and Groot, but Yondu and Rocket bond, then escape with Kraglins' help. Meanwhile, Ego teaches Peter to use his inherited celestial powers, but then Ego reveals that he intends to take over all the world, and also he killed Peter's mother. Oh, furious, Peter kills his father with the help of the Guardians, Yondu dies, and Peter realizes that Yondu was his true daddy. Agents Coulson, Hunter, Fitz, Simmons, May, Mackenzie, Skye, Morse, and Triplet set out to get the Diviner, a mysterious alien weapon, before Daniel Whitehall of Hydra, who they then kill. Then the Diviner kills Triplet, gives Skye earthquake powers, and makes Reyna a cat thing. They transform because they descend from genetically alien-modified humans called Inhumans. Okay, then an Inhuman named Gordon captures Skye and takes her to Afterlife, a safe haven for Inhumans. Here she finds Lincoln Campbell, Reyna, her mother Jia Young, and her father Calvin Zabo, who tells her real name is Daisy. Jia Young plots to kill all non-Inhumans, so Daisy and S.H.I.E.L.D. turn against the Inhumans. Gordon dies, Palamas dies, Coulson loses an arm, and Zabo kills his wife. Young Matt Murdock is blinded by chemicals and then his father is murdered. Luckily, a blind ninja, Stick, trains him to fight, then he abandons him. Oh, in the present, Hell's Kitchen, New York struggles to rebuild after Loki's invasion, so a criminal syndicate led by Wilson Fisk, Madame Gao, and others take over. Matt and Foggy Nelson are lawyers, but at night a masked Matt fights crime. Then Matt and Foggy defend Karen Page and she becomes their secretary, and also works with reporter Ben Urich to investigate Fisk. Then Matt befriends Nurse Claire Temple to treat him after harsh battles. Fisk then sends the assassin Nobu to kill Matt, but Matt kills him. Then Fisk kills Urich, and Matt and Foggy build a case against Fisk, and costume Matt delivers Fisk to the police. The media then dub Matt Daredevil. Tony, Steve, Thor, Bruce, Natasha, and Clint fight Pietro and Wanda Maximoff, superpowered twins. Back home, Tony creates the Ultron AI to protect the Earth, but then Ultron decides to save humanity, he must end it, and allies with Pietro and Wanda. Thor then meets with Selvig and learns that Infinity Stones are a threat they must soon face. Meanwhile, the Avengers plus Fury crash at Clint's house. Then, Ultron uses vibranium to make a new body. But then the twins betray Ultron and help deliver the synthetic body to the Avengers. Then, Tony helps put Jarvis and the Infinity Stone inside Loki's scepter into the body, thus creating Vision, who agrees to help. Then the Avengers fight and defeat Ultron, but in the process Pietro dies. Years ago, S.H.I.E.L.D. scientist Hank Pym creates the Ant-Man suit, allowing the wearer to shrink to the size of an ant and control ants. But then he resigns from S.H.I.E.L.D. to hide it from the government. In the present, Pym is horrified to see that his rival Darren Cross has made a similar suit called the Yellow Jacket. Meanwhile, burglar Scott Lang robs Hank Pym's mansion only to find the Ant-Man suit. Hank then confronts Scott and tells him he wants Scott to become Ant-Man and steal the Yellow Jacket from Cross. Hank's daughter Hope trains Scott to use the suit. Then, meanwhile, Cross tries to sell the Yellow Jacket to Hydra, but then Scott interrupts. Cross and Scott fight, Cross dies, but then Scott falls into the quantum realm. However, he's able to return when he hears his daughter's voice. Jessica Jones is a private detective dating Luke Cage. Oh, and she has super strength and he has impenetrable skin. In the past, Kilgrave used his mind-controlling powers to force Jessica to be with him and make her kill Reva Connors. Oh, but then Jessica escaped. With the help of her sister Trish, lawyer Jerry Hogarth, and Malcolm, Jessica hunts Kilgrave. Then Kilgrave sends a mind-controlled Will Simpson after them. He snaps out of it, agrees to help the girls, then goes crazy because he's addicted to strength pills. Okay, Reva turns out to be Luke's dead wife, so Luke gets pissed, but he forgives her. But wait, then he attacks her because he's under Kilgrave's control too. She shoots him, then leaves him under the care of Nurse Claire Temple. Then Kilgrave kidnaps Trish, so Jessica snaps his neck. Frank Castle, the Punisher, is killing bad guys. Then Frank gets arrested and Matt, Foggy, and Karen take his case. But then Stick and Elektra, Matt's ninja ex-girlfriend, convince Matt to join their ancient war against the evil group The Hand. This superheroing makes Matt a sucky boyfriend to Karen and also a horrible lawyer. So they lose Frank's case and shut down the law firm. But Karen becomes a reporter to clear Frank's name. Then Daredevil and Elektra find a not dead Nomu leading a Hand army. So they have a showdown at the hospital. Afterwards, the hospital tries to cover up what happened, so Claire quits. Then the Hand reveals that Elektra is actually the Black Sky, born to aid the Hand, but she loves Matt, so they, along with Frank, fight the ninjas. President Ellis creates the Advanced Threat Containment Unit, ATCU, to catch all the Inhumans, so S.H.I.E.L.D. goes against ATCU. But eventually Coulson falls for ATCU's Rosalind Price, until Ward kills Price. Meanwhile, Ward revives Hydra while Hunter, May, and Morse hunt Ward. Surprise! Hydra actually predates Nazis and is a cult worshipping the Inhuman The Hive. Also, ex-World Security Council member Gideon Malik is Hydra, and he's trying to bring Hive to Earth. Coulson kills Ward, but Hive possesses Ward's body and comes to Earth anyway. Hive kills Malik, then plans on making everyone Inhumans with a warhead. But then, Campbell takes Hive and the warhead into space, sacrificing himself for humanity. Ross, who's now Secretary of State, presents the Avengers with the Sokovia Accords to put them under UN oversight. Tony agrees with the measure, but Steve doesn't. Then a bomb kills King T'Chaka of Wakanda, and the killer appears to be Bucky. So T'Challa, T'Chaka's son, and also the warrior Black Panther, hunts Bucky. Steve and Bucky finally reconcile. Bucky reveals that he's being framed by Zemo. Steve then recruits Clint and Wanda while Sam calls in Scott. Meanwhile, Ross commissions Tony, Natasha, T'Challa, Vision, and Rhodey to arrest Steve. Tony also brings Peter Parker, Spider-Man. The two teams clash, then Zemo reveals that a brainwashed Bucky killed Tony's parents. Tony, enraged, fights Steve and Bucky, but Steve and Bucky beat him and escape. T'Challa returns to Wakanda to take on the Mantle of King. What's Wakanda? Just some third world country that secretly has an endless supply of vibranium metal and is the most technologically advanced nation in the world. Oh, meanwhile, Eric Killmonger and Ulysses Klaue sell stolen vibranium. But then T'Challa and the CIA's Everett Ross stop them. In the past, T'Challa's uncle Njobu wanted to use Wakandan weapons to help oppressed African descendants. T'Chaka disagreed and killed him, orphaning Njobu's son, Eric. And the present Eric kills Klaue, then comes to Wakanda and kills T'Challa. Gasp! Then Eric assumes the throne. Surprise! T'Challa is not dead thanks to M'Baku and the wild Jabari tribe. Now T'Challa, the head of his guard Okoye, his lover Nakia, his sister Shuri, Ross, and the Jabari all confront Eric. T'Challa stabs Eric, then T'Challa, moved by Eric's belief that Wakanda should be helping others, reveals Wakanda's true nature to the world. After the Battle of New York, salvage worker Adrian Toomes is excited for the new work, but then the Department of Damage Control takes the job from them. Angry, Adrian decides to build himself a flying suit called the Vulture and sell alien weapons. Okay, in the present, Peter continues his work as Spider-Man, but is desperate to rejoin the Avengers. Peter confronts Adrian several times and accidentally causes a ferry incident endangering many lives. Disheartened, Peter goes to the homecoming dance with Liz, only to discover that her father is Adrian. Whoa. Peter springs back into action with the help of his friend Ned and successfully defeats Adrian. Tony, impressed, offers Peter a place in the Avengers. However, Peter declines to focus on his own life. Dr. Stephen Strange suddenly breaks his hands in a car accident. Desperate for a cure, he travels to Kamartaj for help. He meets Mordo, Wong, and the Ancient One. Quickly, Stephen trains under them, regains control of his hands, and even learns to use the Eye of Agamotto, which can control time. Okay, then Caecilius attacks and reveals that the Ancient One lives so long because she uses power from the evil Dormammu. Gasp. Caecilius seeks to bring Dormammu to Earth to make everyone immortal, but he doesn't realize that Dormammu will actually just destroy everything. After the Ancient One dies, Stephen confronts Dormammu and uses the Eye to lock him in an endless time loop. Desperate for release, Dormammu agrees to leave Earth and kill Caecilius. After recovering, Luke Cage is trying to keep a low profile working at Pop's barbershop and the club of notorious gangster Cottonmouth. Officer Misty Knight is investigating Cottonmouth. Meanwhile, Cottonmouth supports his cousin, Councilwoman Mariah Dillard. Also Shades, the representative of Cottonmouth's supplier, Diamondback, advises Cottonmouth. Then Cottonmouth's men kill Pop. Furious, Luke fights all the crime and becomes the talk of Harlem. He also meets and falls for Claire. In Luke's past, he was a wrongfully imprisoned officer named Carl Lucas. Then he escaped and took on a new name. Back in the present, Mariah kills Cottonmouth and allies with Shades. Then Diamondback, who is actually Luke's jealous half-brother, attacks Luke, but Luke beats him and gets him arrested. Young Danny Rand took refuge with monks in the mystical land of Kunlun. There, he learned to fight and became the Iron Fist. Okay, Danny flees to New York to meet his dad's business partner Harold Meacham at Rand Enterprises. But Harold's dead, so the company is run by his kids Ward and Joy. Meanwhile, Danny falls for martial arts instructor Colleen Wing. But wait, the Hand actually resurrected Harold, and he's under Madame Gao's control. Gasp. So, Colleen, her student Claire, and Danny all imprison Gao with Colleen's mentor Bakudo. But Bakudo and Colleen are actually part of the Hand. Gasp. But then, Colleen helps Danny escape. Then Danny's Kunlun friend Davos kills Bakudo. Then Danny, learning that Harold planned his parents' death, helps Ward kill Harold. Daisy teams with Robbie, a vigilante who came back from the dead as the Ghost Rider. Meanwhile, Holden Radcliffe has made an android called Ada, an LMD. Anyway, Robbie's Uncle Morrow killed his co-workers to gain mystic powers using the Darkhold. Okay, but Ada helps stop him. But Simmons then discovers that Ada has replaced May, Radcliffe, Coulson, Fitz, and Mac with robots. WTF. Where are all the real people? They're inside a virtual reality, the Framework. Simmons and Daisy go inside to find an alternate reality where Ada is in charge and Hydra rules. Eventually, everyone realizes this world is fake and escapes. Then Coulson temporarily becomes the Ghost Rider to kill Ada, but then everyone gets kidnapped. Attilan is a society of Inhumans on the moon governed by King Black Bolt and Queen Medusa. Okay, but then Black Bolt's brother Maximus orchestrates a coup. Gasp. So Black Bolt, Medusa, her sister Crystal, their cousin Karnak, and their dog Lockjaw flee to Earth. Black Bolt befriends the Earth Inhuman Sammy, and they both take refuge with the scientist Evan Declan, but surprise, Declan is working under Maximus. So Black Bolt and Sammy escape and unite with Medusa, her new ally Luis, Karnak, his brother Triton, and their cousin Gorgon. They return to Attilan to confront Maximus, and Maximus has a failsafe that will destroy Attilan. So Black Bolt locks Maximus on Attilan, and then he, the royal family, and all of Attilan flee to Earth. Jessica, Matt, Luke, and Danny meet at Midland Circle, where they fight and barely escape. Also, Matt here bumps into a resurrected Elektra on the hand side. Stick then informs the four heroes about the hand, who are led by Alexandra, Madame Gao, Sawande, Murakami, and a resurrected Bakudo. They want immortality, and to get it need to dig under Midland Circle's building, thus weakening New York's foundation and destroying the city. But then Elektra comes and kills Stick. Then she kills Alexandra and assumes leadership of the hand. Then the defenders, along with Misty, Colleen, and Claire, stop them. Then Matt stays behind to try and convince Elektra to be good again. However, the building collapses on them both and the rest of the hand. Jessica, Malcolm, and Trish investigate IGH, the company that stole Jessica from the hospital after her whole family died in a car accident, brought her back to life, and gave her superpowers. Oh, and Jessica falls for her superintendent Oscar. Sure. Meanwhile, Jerry is diagnosed with ALS. Jessica runs into another IGH experiment, Alyssa, who is killing people. Eventually, Jessica confronts IGH's Dr. Carl Mollis and learns that Alyssa is actually her mother. Gasp. Jessica is horrified, but then begins to bond with her mother. Trish, wanting to make a greater positive impact on the world, forces Carl to experiment on her to give her powers. Jessica stops them. Then Carl kills himself out of guilt. Jessica alienates Malcolm, then runs off with Alyssa. As the police chase them, Alyssa decides to turn herself in to protect Jessica. Then Trish shoots Alyssa in the head. Jeffrey, Catherine, their son Alex, Tina, Robert, their daughter Nico, Leslie, Frank, their daughter Carolina, Victor, Janet, their son Chase, and Dale, Stacy, and their daughters Gert and Molly are all rich family friends living in LA. The recent suicide of Nico's sister Amy has hurt their bond. Then they discover that their parents ritually sacrifice teenagers in their basement. But also, Carolina finds out she can glow and fly, Nico learns how to use her mom's high-tech staff, Chase perfects his battle fistagon, Gert gains an attack dinosaur, and Molly has super strength. Okay, what's up with the sacrifices? In the past, a mysterious man named Jonah gave the parents financial success in exchange for joining the Pride and sacrificing people to him. We also learned that Jonah orchestrated both the deaths of Amy and Molly's birth parents. So the kids confront their parents, battle, and then run away from home. Loki has tricked his way into ruling Asgard, but Thor cuts through the sham and, with Doctor Strange's help, finds Odin, who warns that their evil sister Hela is coming. Then Odin dies. Oh. Hela arrives, destroys Thor's hammer, casts Loki and Thor off to space, and conquers Asgard. Thor lands in Sakaar, is captured by Valkyrie, and then forced by the Grandmaster to battle the planet's greatest warrior. But the warrior turns out to be Hulk, and the two reunite. Then Valkyrie switches sides, and she, with Thor, Hulk, and Loki, successfully escape back to Asgard. There, they decide they must initiate Ragnarok and destroy Asgard in order to stop Hela. Hela dies, Asgard explodes, and Thor loses an eye. But all of Asgard escapes safely on a massive ship. In the past, Frank Castle and Billy Russo served in the military under Operation Cerberus. However, their boss, William Rollins, Agent Orange, assigned them increasingly immoral missions, so Frank left the team. Then, 3 rival gangs engaged in a shootout, and Frank's family died in the crossfire. Oh, so Frank hunted and killed them all. Now, Homeland Agent Dina Madani is investigating the illegal operations of Project Cerberus and allies with and falls for Billy Russo to investigate further. Meanwhile, David Lieberman, Micro, reaches out to Frank and convinces him to help him catch the people behind Operation Cerberus. Rollins was actually behind Frank's family's death and was using Cerberus to support his selling heroin, and surprise, Billy is in on this too. Eventually, Frank brutally kills Rollins and then smashes Billy's face into some glass. Hey everybody, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed watching as much as I enjoyed making it. If you have any other Marvel fans in your life or people who are just completely lost about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, please share this video and like it so it gets out to them. And if you want to see more cool stuff like this, go ahead and subscribe. I'm totally open to suggestions. Please let me know what else you'd like to see me summarize going forward. I'll see what happens next in Infinity War. Thanks for watching.